Welcome to Working Software. Today we are looking at securing access to services with the Istio service mesh and using JWT tokens and preventing access unless the token is correct. And part of it is using the web key, which is a public key that Istio uses to verify the signature of the token. If you have looked at this series, the previous video explains how to deploy the application, which is Vadel Echo, into Istio, into Kubernetes, and how to use the Istio service mesh to provide the services that we need. Previously we used it for load balancing as well as shifting the traffic. Today we are going to look at securing access. Now Docker is started and the Kubernetes is running, and Docker engine is running, and if you looked before, we had this deployment YAML that deploys the Vadel image into Kubernetes, and how to build the image is all in the previous video, the links below. Before we do that, let's install Istio again. So you do that using Istio control and basically install like so, and that should install Istio from scratch. So I've cleaned up Kubernetes, restarted it, so that removes everything, and we've got clean Istio installation. The other thing we want to do is to add all the sample dashboards. So let's do that. All the add-ons. That's going to give us all that. Grafana, Jaeger, Kali, Loki, Prometheus. But really, we only want to look at Kali, and just to give us some kind of visualization. We'll see that in a minute. So that's all there. Now the other important thing before you deploy anything is to make sure that the label for Istio injection is there. So that's I've got a shortcut alias for kubectl. So kubectl label deployment label namespace default. If I can spell default, and Istio injection equals enabled. That's important. Otherwise, a sidecar won't be added when you deploy the service. So this is the deployment here, and if you look at the previous video, it goes into detail what all this does. So that we can run that. Let's do that. So from here, and control apply. I've created an alias for kubectl, so there you are. Then deploy. So that should be there, and the gateway and the virtual service all there, and we should be able to see two ways. I've got K9 here installed, so K9S should show us, and you see the pods, and that's a bit strange. Okay, that's fine. So that's the sidecar, that one here, which is Envoy behind the scenes doing that. We should have a gateway. On there, and I think one thing we can do is do Istio CTL and just run up the Kali dashboard. So it'll run up a browser when we do this. Kali, and there we are. That's the browser, and that's it. So it's showing the application, and let's put some load through it. Let's just call the echo service. So get out of this, and just do curl and it says host docker internal. That's the service running, and let's just run a few more requests through it. So it's all open. Nothing blocking it, no security. Yeah, that's pushing some things, request through it. And we should see something in the graph. And there we are. So right now, if we look at the loading, might have to let's change the loading, to be honest. Let's see what the loading is. And the shifting between the two, there's two versions of Echo, an older version, newer version, learning. And there's this traffic shifting going on. So at the moment it's 2080. So let's change that to 50. Like I said, the previous video shows how all this works. And before we do that, we need to change this resource version to the more recent version. So we go back here, and in here, in the gateway virtual destination rule here, we need this version. That's what we're updating, and it'll change as we update. There must be a better way of doing this, but I haven't found it. And then let's deploy that. So that's deployed. There's this bit configured. So that should, if we go back here, if we go back to the Istio config virtual service, that's 50/50 now. So if you go into the graph, then let's go last. Yeah, let's do last 2 minutes. That's just hitting 2 more than anything else. So if we look at it, it's hitting that version more than, because it's 80/20. So let's run again. The lower, let's hit it again. And now let's see what happens. It takes some time actually for it to, and there you go. Now it's more sitting both. And you can look at applications here. I can click on that, and you can click on traffic. You can see it's inbound traffic into it, no outbound traffic, because it's just an echo, not calling anything else. And the metrics, I like, let's put response code, and let's see what else that does. Doesn't give us anything. So there is not much there. Let's hit it some more. I'll give it a lot, 1,000 or so requests. Should maybe turn off this. Let's do that. Let's turn off the output. Send it to null. And there you go. That should be a bit better. And yeah, there you see. Last 2 minutes. And you got the requests count and everything here. Does it show the response code? Probably not. Okay, but this is just an open request, no security whatsoever. Now here Istio provides a means to secure access. One way is using JWT. For that you need to provide a JWK, JSON web key, which contains a public key. Now the site I'm using is this one here, Scott Brady in 81, and in there I'm going to use RS256. The modular size doesn't really matter here, so leave it as it is, and we create a key. Now the key thing here, not pun intended, is this here, this public key. This is a public key. And the other thing to remember is this key identity, this one, which is part of the header of the JSON web token, right? We'll be creating a web token to call our service, because without it, it won't allow access, and that's what we want. So let's first look at this key and how you secure the service. Now here we have the auth file which I created earlier, and this is the CRD that Istio uses, and this is how it's defined, and this is how the web key set. You can have multiple keys is defined. So that's where that public token goes over here. And if you look, we've got this issuer here, which we will need to add to our web token. So it checks for that. And I think that's it. And of course the key identity, this one here. This is RSA key type, and this is, I'm not sure what that is. I need to figure out, maybe find out. Probably you can. The key identity, again, you can grab it, which is this one here. And we're using this as to verify the signature. That's the whole point. The web token signature is correct. If it is, let the request through. Otherwise, it won't. So this is basically authentication part. Okay, authorization we'll look at in a minute, and we'll look at why we do need it. It won't work just by this. It won't work, and I'll show you why. So now we apply that. So if you look here, back at Kiali console, Istio config, you will see there will be a request authentication here, this one. Now that's what we've just done. And if you look at the workloads, which is the container pod images, you'll see that this two are there, and that's applied against this workload. I think that's it. Let's see what happens. Now, if I was to call it with, so normally you would call it from a client. It will let things through unless you also set the authorization. So now this is checking. Okay. Now let's get a token. Let's create a token and change that to 256. So with this, we've got this token here. It's just it's not going to match that signature, that public key signature there that it's got there. So let's copy that, and that's that one. So if we call it again, with the bearer being the wrong JWT, its issuer is not configured, so it doesn't like the issuer. So let's change the issuer. And let's try that one. And then try that again. Verification fails. It doesn't like that token. Okay. Right. Now let's get the right token. So we go back to scope ID here, and we use that template like that, and we'll need the issuer. So having created the JSON web key here, and then we now add the issuer here for it to work, because we're looking for it in our access. We then create the relevant JW token, JWT token, or JWT, or JSON web token. Let's copy that and export that. Oh yeah, and then let's call it, and that works. So the one with the wrong token says verification failed. This one works. That's letting it through. Let's just have a quick look at what this is showing us, the console. and you can see this it's not happy. So that's something to understand. That I think is the health check failing, and well, this is not happy because we've made a request to it. So it's not failing because there's something wrong with the service. It's failing because the request that was put to it was not accepted. Right? If you look at the traffic, there's traffic coming from here, from the ingress, and it should be outbound, really. There you are, outbound. And if you look at this Morse code, there you go, you got the 401 rejected, because of that token. Let's look at this one here again, and let's look at inbound metrics and code again. So there you go, that's that code failing. Okay, good. But there's something there's a couple of things to think about. So first of all, if you do a call without anything at all, it will let it through, and that's how it's designed to work by default, to let things through. Now, the way to prevent this is to add authorization to this authentication. That's how it's designed. That's how Istio is designed. I did it before earlier, so let me bring that back. That's this bit here. There we go. Bring that back. And the way that works is, now I'm going to take that out for now. Right, now it's allowing everything as long as they meet that rule. But the principal, that's the issuer, and that echo is the subject. Okay, and that's the authorization policy, and it's allowing all methods, all REST methods to come through. So it should not work because we're missing this subject in our web token. But let's see what happens. So if I apply that again, there. Let's go back and see if, first of all, does that work. Let's give it some time and see if that works. All right, let's give it some time. And let's just check again what's going on here. In here, there we go. That's the authorization policy in place now, and that's your services and your workloads. There you go. You got both of them with that authorization service policy in place. Let's try again. I was expecting that not to work. Now that's good. That's not working. Before it was working. Now there's a role-based access control, basically. So that's no longer working, which is great. Okay, that's what we want. Surprised that's working, because I was expecting it to have it needing the subject. So that's the principle it's looking for. Now, to be like more ideal, more pure, what you would need to do is add a subject to this, and that's the subject it was expecting. That's how it should be. So that's how it should be, right? So a bit surprised that that's accepting it. Maybe it's not so strict. Let's try it once more. Yeah, it's not so strict on that. Maybe it doesn't look at that. Now if I type wrong, it should allow it. And if I do this, let's see what happens. Access denied. Yeah, it's the same as doing this. So that's what we want. Now, one other thing to think about is your health check. So there's a health. Now, really, that should be allowed. That should not be denied. We want the health to work, whatever. No need for access restriction on the health, as long as you're not showing too much details of your machine and so on. Just the fact that it's okay. So this should not be restricted. So the way to do that is to add this bit. Sorry, it's not health, it's actuator. Is it actuator? Actuator health. I think that's how it should be. So that's being denied, right? So that bit says allow it. Okay, so let's do that. So that's up, that's done. Let's go back, see if that's actually working. Yeah, 404, not found. So that's now working. Takes a while. Now the reason sometimes it's saying access denied is there's two workloads, so just both are catching up. But eventually they catch up, and there you go, it's up. So we've allowed the health to get through by using this, but blocking otherwise access to everything else. So only that one's allowed. So this is how you do it. There's a lot of details in the Istio site itself. Just a quick look at the console, and you can see this. The thing is, it doesn't mean that this service is bad. It means, it can mean the service is bad, but it can also mean that something's wrong. And that probably was the health thing that it's checking. It's probably the health endpoint, which is now enabled. So there we are. Can look at the logs, and not the logs, the metrics. And you can see, yeah. Let's blast it a bit. Should if you look at the response code, there you go. That's the failures. Right. This is the gateway traffic, which will have outbound metrics, and it should tell us code, response code, and there you see all these things are happening. Now let's do a good one. Change that to correct. So you should see equal number of 200s now. It's a pity that the colors are so similar. Once it's finished, we can look at again the services. Traffic. Let's look at traffic. That one. Inbound. Response code. Yeah, you can see that it's gone from 400 to 200. Yeah, successful now with the right token. So it's blocking the token, and it's allowing health through, which is great. So yeah, that's how you get Istio to control access via web tokens. Okay, hope you like it. Take care.